folks, Mule Fitness, Stability Ball Basics. We have Mr. Andres here today. He's going to help us. He's a kinesiology major, third year rising at a California State School. So I'm really honored to have him helping us out today.
Thank you, thank you.
So, stability ball. Why do I like it? And it's in the blue section, so we're doing movement preparation. We're both wearing blue. I hope you appreciate that out there. It's good for upper body strength. It's good for core strength. And it's just a good general warm-up. And not only that, folks, it doesn't cost much money. So we can get a lot of bang for the buck if we just can get a stability ball. And in our toolkit, as we become master carpenters, learning to use most of the equipment in a gym, which my book will guide you through, the stability ball is a kind of a nice, easy, cheap way to have stuff that you can do at home. And again, we're going to be doing most everything in this carpeted area, which is about the size of a living room in an apartment in Manhattan, let's say. Maybe not Manhattan, that's pretty small. But anyway, you get my point. We can do this in your house, in your apartment, or in your hotel room, okay? So without further ado, we're going to be going on to our first exercise. And the first group of exercises, there's 4 of them, and that first column in the book is going to be for just general warm-up. They're simple general warm-up. Squat to overhead press. Pretty simple. We're just going to get our stability ball, and I'm going to squat. Nice deep squat, folks. I touch my chest. I put it overhead. Squat to overhead press. Touch my chest. Down. And I get some rhythm going in here. And again, we can honor that little bit of cardio and that nice warm-up. And we're just moving some of these big joints. So we're going to have Mr. Andres do it. And from 2 different angles. So he touches the chest, overhead, to the chest, down. And I kind of like it, he just puts the ball right there between his feet. You don't have to put the ball out, but just between his feet here, right in front of him. Again, I want to keep everything in that lumbar really kind of tight. Tail down, head up, action. And again, 8's our number. Most exercise we do, we'll do 8. So Andrew, I hope you're counting. How many we got here?
About 6, maybe.
About 6, who knows? 7. Give me one more for 8. Okay, now why don't you face me this way, okay? So we can, from the camera, we can just get another angle on you. And again, so just face me square on, right? And again, we're just gonna squat to the chest, overhead to the chest. Squat to the chest, overhead to the chest. Squat to the chest, overhead to the chest. And that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we have it. I didn't even need a stability ball. I could have even saved a couple pennies more. But again, a very simple exercise, moving the big joints. Atlas circles. Charles Atlas, I don't know, do you remember that? I don't know, you're too young for that? You never really... Anyway, when I was growing up, Charles Atlas, who cares? So, we want to hold the world above our head, folks. And then when I hold the world above my head, I'm going to circle around. Ooh, my left side over here, this side is getting nice and stretched. And watch what happens with my right hand. I do a quarter turn towards camera, and then I continue, and I stretch my right side over here. And then I go on down again. So I'm stretching my ribs in this lateral line. I can stop up here after 4 or whatever my number is. And then as I go around the other way, my knees are bending, and now my left hand goes towards camera because my ball's going to my left, your camera right. And then my left hand comes around. And so we have these nice turns that are happening that get these ribs nice and stretched out, okay? So let's say Mr. Andres do it. He'll do it from 2 directions. So start from overhead, Andres, if you would. Yeah, start from overhead like Charles Atlas. We don't know who that is. But go on down. So what hand's going to be coming forward?
Left hand.
Left hand. And then he continues that around. Now he stretches these ribs. Now his knees were pretty straight, so next time he does it, I want him to do a little more, come on down around. He's going to bend a little more. Again, I like moving these big joints. He's going to keep the ball off the ground though. 2, let's go for 4 total. And that turn, and now those left ribs are stretching. And one last one, these right ribs are stretching. With that turn, these left ribs are stretching. Oh, that feels so good, like you're waking up in the morning. Stop. Now come this way. Both ways, okay? So now he goes down. Now those left ribs are stretching. He does his quarter turn, but the turn continues with that hand. So it's like a 180, isn't it?
Yeah.
As we come all the way around, we first do a quarter turn here, but then we continue with that turn, and it's flowing, and it just opening the body up. And what, we have 2 more, Andres, I think?
Yes.
And you ever make sure we bend those knees a little bit. But we got to keep the ball off the floor, obviously. There we are, Atlas circles. Trunk rotations. This is the transverse plane, folks. This is the twisty plane. I call this the sports plane. We have our sagittal, we have our frontal coronal, and we have our twisty, right? So the last exercise kind of hit this frontal coronal plane. This is going to get the transverse plane, and it's simple. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to allow the ball to swing. But watch what's happening to my back foot. It's pivoting, and that's what I want. And my nose and my chest and my sternum kind of follow the ball as I go around. So let's watch Mr. Andrews do it. That's a nice kind of big range of motion there. We like to pivot on that back foot as he swings it out. Okay, let's stop there. Let's just experiment. What if we kept our feet still and then try to do it? And what are you feeling, Andres?
It's less range of motion, a bit more stiff. It works the hips more, I think.
Yeah. And so what does it feel like from your hips, you mentioned the hips, down into the knee area? You feel this kind of fascial network being twisted. So the knees are kind of twisting here, but they have a limit. And so you're only going to be twisting so much. So now let's go back and let's add in our nice bigger range of motion. And now we can see the feet free the body up so they can do more. But each variation is okay and it has its purpose. If I want to kind of, get the fascia around my knees kind of stretched and worked, I can keep my feet static. But then for sports, I really want to emphasize pivoting on that back foot. And that'll protect our lumbar and give us more power and swing in all of our activities. Good. Oblique foot to hayloft. Just how it sounds. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to squat and put the ball pretty much in front of this foot and this leg. And then the ball is going to touch my chest, and then I'm going to reach up and pivot on that back foot and come back to my chest and then squat nice and deep. I don't want to hinge over with straight legs. I don't like that at all. Get down and real athletic. Get low. Turn on the glutes and everything, the quads, the hams, and then touch the chest. Boom, put it overhead. 1. And then we can pick the pace up after we get the neural pattern. Right? And we'll do it to each side. So we'll watch Mr. Andres do it.
So first to the lunge or squat?
Yes, maybe just cheat over there a little bit. So you'll be, so put it in front of your left foot first.
So here?
Yeah. The chest. And I like hitting the chest going up and back. That's 3. Notice that nice stretch there. You might even be able to see his shirt, how his body is getting stretched in that kind of spiral plane in this oblique pattern. And that's where we like it. So these first 4 exercises, really kind of hit just these nice big planes of the body. We just get the joints up, and if you do just your 8 per side, that's going to be good, that's our number, but if you do 16 per side or 32 per side, you can see how we can make this thing into a little cardio bit with a very light ball. And it doesn't take much putting this light ball overhead, the heart will still work hard to get that ball up. So it can be cardio. So there we have it. Seated knee or leg lift. So what does that look like? We'll have a seat on our stability ball. It's pretty simple. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to have Mr. Andrus just bring up his right knee an inch or two off the floor, and we're going to see how stable he is. Is he shaking or not? And we're kind of testing the core musculature out. He's sitting up nice and tall, almost like I have a gossamer thread coming out of the crown of his head with his chin down a little bit. You know, and he's sitting up like America's Next Top Model, and we're kind of activating all those nice core muscles. We'll put it down. And I was yabbering, so you'd have to keep it up there for a little while. Now we're going to pick up the other side and see what that looks like. And he's not bad. He's a little more shaky on this side, isn't he, folks? Just a little bit, but it's not bad. So that kind of tells us there maybe is a little imbalance there deep in his core. And we'll put that down. And then now we're going to do the knee up or leg out. So now we're leg lift, I call it. So let's go ahead and put that right leg out. We're going to dorsiflex. He's going to put his toe towards his nose, and he's really going to charge up his quads here. I really like that. So we kind of get the quads activated, charged up, and there's a different load out there that his core has to stabilize on. We'll put that down, Andrus. And the other leg. Again, what do? We lock that knee out, lock it out, charge up that quad. Those muscles pull up, and we dorsiflex, and we're getting a nice isometric contraction of those quads. We can see his left side's a little less stable. He just had a little shudder falter there, not bad. And then we'll put that down. So it's a nice way just to get the body introduced to sitting on a stability ball. And if you're in an office, hey, it's a nice way to sit because your spine's in a really nice orientation here. We're not all slumped over. We're actually sitting up nice and tall. Anterior, posterior, pelvic tilts, and we're also going to roll out, and I'm going to give you a couple other things with this demonstration also. So we're going to have Mr. Andrus sit on the ball again. And so an anterior or posterior pelvic tilt, pretend your hip. You can put your hands around your hip. Make it like a big bucket. Okay, folks, make a big bucket. And if I pour the water and have my belly nice and big and rounded, if I pour the water out of the front and my tailbone goes up, that's an anterior pelvic tilt. And if I go the other way and I tuck my tailbone under, my lumbar flattens out and all this stuff comes up, and that's a posterior pelvic tilt. So I want to go back and forth from an anterior pelvic tilt to a posterior pelvic tilt. An anterior pelvic tilt to a posterior pelvic tilt. And the ball kind of rolls under your sits bones there. It's kind of nice, you know, it's a very accommodating ball. So now, what we're going to do is I want these hips to kind of, you know, that happy smile face thing. So what I want is I want one hip to come up and then the other hip to come up. And so we're going to kind of, almost like a banana looking thing here, we're going to have a smiley face go up and a smiley face go up. Keep your feet flat on the floor, no hip. So it's almost like being a Zumba dancer, you know, salsa from Cali, Colombia, something like that. So here we go. We're just going to kind of activate these sides where I'm activating my my obliques, and I'm also activating this really deep muscle way back here in your body. It's called your QL muscle, your quadratus lumborum, and we're kind of activating that. So I like doing both of those things. Now, this was not in the book, and this next one is not in the book either. What we're going to do is we're going to do a figure eight. So inscribe a figure eight on that ball. And now we're really dancing now, folks, moving those hips. Some of you might be challenged with this. Work on it. So we're trying to actually inscribe a figure eight in your mind's eye. And do I do my figure eight fore and aft or side to side? I like side to side. Okay? And now I'm going to ask Mr. Andrus to change direction on that. So think about what direction your figure 8 was just in and reverse it and see if neurally you can make your hips do that. And again, what are we doing? We're neurally activating all of our deep core muscles. We're getting them ramped up. We're inviting them all back to the party and saying, welcome, guys. Okay. Now, what I'm having you do, Anders, is maybe cheat the ball back a little bit here. And I want you to walk out, and I want you to go to a bench. So he's never done any of this stuff before, so we're just kind of doing a cold turkey. So he's going to kind of see out his spine, and he's going to walk away with his feet. He's going to keep on walking, and his gaze is right across the room, folks. And he's going to walk out until his shoulders and his head is on the ball. That's it. Now, he just made a bench for himself. And have your glutes drop down a little bit. Most of you will do that. Drive those glutes up, and now he's really activating his glutes and his hamstrings back there at the gluteal fold. And now he can pretend that he's got a couple of dumbbells here, and he can do bench press or whatever. So we just created our own bench, folks, for our dumbbell patterns. And now he's going to walk on back. And he's going to see out his spine again. He's going to look across the room. And he's going to try not to use his hands. And he's going to sit up nice and tall. Beautiful, right? So he's done it beautifully. Let's do it again. Let's walk on out. And you're going to get really good with this. So the head, the shoulders are on the ball. And he's going to activate his glutes so he makes his own bench. And then he's going to walk on back. And he sees out his spine, and he looks forward there, then he stands up nice and tall, and we're done. Those are rollouts. Bouncing Bronco hovers. Hey, look, we're all kids. We all love kindergarten. You know, it passed way too quickly. First grade passed way too quickly, folks. Trust me. We just want to bounce on a ball, okay? So we'll move it over here. And so I'm going to have Anders sit on our ball. And he's never done any of these, so we're just going to have fun with it. And just start kind of bouncing up and down. Just boing, boing. So the ball has this great potential as we compress the air. It pushes us back up. And that's pretty good, right? Just kind of bounce around a little bit. It's fun. Now, what I want you to do is on a count of 8, he's going to hover 1 inch above the ball. Okay? So I'm going to count it down for you. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hover. Oh, that ball's falling away from him. What should he do, folks? He needs to put a hand back there to keep the ball there, and he needs to keep that left hand on that ball. Still say 1 inch. 1 inch. I tell you to go. Now, keep that left hand back there. If you don't, folks, that ball will go away, and the next time you sit down, you're going to fall right on the floor. Don't do that. Okay, bounce again. So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hover, and now hold it with this hand. So we're going to alternate holding hands, make sure the ball's there. Just touch it. Just have one finger on that ball, and I'm hovering 1 inch above the ball. That's it. Now, bounce. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hover. That's it. Now, 8. Go ahead. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, hover. Break it down to 4. Break it down to 4, folks. And go. 4, 3, 2, hover. 4, 3, 2, hover. And 4, 3, 2, hover. And 4, 3, 2, hover. And 4, 3, 2, hover. 8's our number, right? I don't know. And 4, 3, 2, hover. And 4, 3, 2, hover. I have no idea where we are, folks. I am clueless. 4, 3, 2, hover. Now break it down to twos. Twos. Ready? 1, hover. 1, hover. 1, hover. How you feeling?
My glutes are on
1,
fire.
hover. And he's an endurance athlete. He's a former endurance athlete. He was a cross-country runner. 1, hover. 1, hover. We're going to break it down to singles, folks, for 16. And 1, hover. 2, hover. 3, hover. 4, hover. 5, hover. 6, hover. 7, hover. 8, hover. Walk out of it. Killer, right?
Yeah.
That was a killer. So here we have an endurance athlete who has really ramped up his type 1 muscle tissue, and right here we kept that muscle time under tension. It's a principle in the book. I love it for athletes. I love creating those hydrogen ions that burn, acidosis. So it's a great way to get the legs really strong from the start and get the acidosis. I've just shown you 8, 4, 2, and 1. You can do as many as you want, folks, or as few as you want. But with him, we saw that we can like burn them out, and we're burning out those big, deep type 2 muscle tissues, and that's what was giving him all that acid, and that's why it's so much fun.
That's right.
Forearm rollouts. Boy, after those Bronco hovers, you need a little bit of break, right? So let's do some forearm rollouts. So he's going to get on his knees, and he's going to put this bone, this sharp bone on the end, if you make a little karate chop thing here, right, with your thumbs up. So I like to have the thumbs up, and so we kind of emphasize that. And then what he's going to do, he's going to start from, kind of a square, like just kind of squat pattern. And so he's going to roll on out. And what I like is that the hands are going to go up and balance on just the elbows, and then roll on back on your forearms again, and go all the way back. It's okay to go all the way back to your wrists. He's going to go all the way out. So you just kind of roll those hands out. The fingers come up. You balance on those elbows. Why? You have 2 little teeny points to balance on out there. And what are we looking for? We're looking for his lumbar. Can he lock in his lumbar? And if this feels horrible on you folks, kind of tuck in that lumbar and lock in that lumbar to neutral. It's that we learned that posterior pelvic tilt, right? Do a posterior pelvic tilt, contract those abs, lock in the lumbar. So that's why we learned that earlier, because we're going to apply it right here, because we want to make sure that this lower back, lumbar, core musculature is really ramped up and tight. And 8's going to be our number, and that's what, about 6 or 7. Let's do one more. We're going to call that 8. And he's on his knees. The feet could be up, they could be on the floor, it doesn't really matter. I think his feet are out of frame anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But that's forearm rollouts, and it really just kind of gets that 8-pack muscle here, your rectus abdominis, going. Roll out to plank, knees in. All right, here we go. So, Andres is going to come on out. And there it is. He's going to walk on back. Just that simple. All right, let's do it again. Let's kind of break it down. So hold it out there. So he's going to walk on out into a plank. So we need the top of the ball. His knees are there. So now the next step of this thing is he's going to draw the knees in. And he kind of squatted down, didn't he, folks? This went past 90. So we don't really want that. So I'm going to have him go out again. Now, so to do that, I'm going to have him dorsiflex his feet. And when he feels these toes touch the ball, that's really going to be about it. So let's come on in again. And now we want to see a 90, now hold it up there, hold it up there. So we want to see like a 90 degree here. And you know that if your feet or your toes are dorsiflexed and go back out, and if your knees start on the top of the ball, you're going to be pretty much there. And notice how he has to keep himself into this plank position all this time. And let's just do 2 more. Let's draw him in. And one more time, and I might just cue his feet. So we want to see his buttocks rise to maximum height, and that's the point where you keep that core engaged, and then he's going to go back out. And then he can just walk right on out. pikes. I love these things. They really get your core going. So you see some grips here now. If you always are walking out with your hands like this, that's not a very stable geometry for your poor wrist. A lot of times it feels better if the wrist is straight with the hand, and then grips facilitate that, even though they might be a little clumsy and awkward to walk out with or back. When you get out there, they might feel better, because I showed this several times in this series that if I punch, I don't want to punch with my wrist turned or turned that way. It's a pretty weak punch, but if I hit it straight on, boy, that's a strong geometry, and that's the way our wrists and our forearm bones are built to be their strongest. So let's go ahead and do that. And again, I think it's like the first time our esteemed exercise model is we're using these grips, but he's going to walk on out. And where do we walk out to again, folks? The knees. Okay, we're going to do the knees, okay? Now, what I want to do, this is a pike. So I want him to lock out his legs. Lock his legs out. I'm going to have him point his toes like a beautiful high diver, and that will neurally send a signal to keep those legs exactly locked out. And then he's going to do an inverted V and pick his hips up. He's going to roll up as high as he can for 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Going back down to his plank. Let's come up to the next one. Again, the toes are opposite of what we did last time with the knees in, right? So the legs work as a unit, and the hip is like a big hinge right here. And go ahead, draw it up. And we're like pulling them up. And that's really hard, folks. That's really hard. And then release that. And then let's come on up again. How you feeling there?
Tough.
It's tough. It's tough, folks. This guy's pretty athletic. He's pretty in shape. And it's tough. Okay, walk on back. And that's it, folks. Pikes. And trust me, you will get really strong with that. And when we go to our animal crawl patterns, you will need that strength. But we're building it here first. So do whatever you have to do to get that strength up with your numbers of sets and reps and all that. But if you just do 4 of those, holding it for 4 seconds at the top, trust me, that'll be tough. Push-ups. Doesn't this thing just look like it's perfect for push-ups? Because we've been there all that time, and now we're actually going to do a push-up. So, let me see. Once you cheat that way, I'll be over here. So, again, we like to go all the way out to the knees, because that's where it was. And I'm just going to do 4 push-ups. So from the knees here, he's going to do 4 push-ups. And again, he prefers not to use the grips. That feels better for him. He feels more stable. And I'm going to have him roll back. Now, stop right there. So going out. If that's tough for you folks, doing it from the knees, then do it from the mid part of the thigh. If that's tough for you, then come on back a little more for me. Do it from the hip. So if he does a push-up from here, it's like really no load, because the biggest mass of your body is being borne by the ball. And so that's a nice way for you beginners to develop some strength and have fun rolling on the floor and falling off the ball left and right. Make sure you're on a nice padded carpet. Okay, let's go out to the middle of the shins.
All right.
So we're going to see if we can get this all on camera. And he's going to go out to the shins now. So what have we done? He has a bigger lever here. And so now when he does his 4 push-ups, they should be harder. Now in the book we just show from the knees, folks, that's all you have to do. But for you athletes out there, go out further if you can. Now come on back. Anders, there you go. Now, what can we do next? Let's have fun with this guy. Because he's kind of an athlete and he's a kines major. What the heck? So let's go on out to this nice curvy part of the bottom of the shins. And the ankle. Where the tibia kind of rolls into the ankle. Right there. Look at that. So now look at his lever now. So wow, and look how unstable this becomes. So he's really got to fight with his core. Give me 4 push-ups there. And under the blue routines, folks, even for your athletes, get really strong at this first. Okay, to roll on back. And at some point, you might just step off the front of the ball, you know, if you're way out there. Okay? Now, we're really going to have fun with this guy now. This is in the red routine. Okay? So I'm just saying this for purpose of the video. If you guys are athletes and you really want to challenge yourself, this is the next progressed version. And the red routine has an even more progressed version, but we're going to go through our limit here today of our progression. So he's going to need to start back. This is a fake wall if you haven't figured it out, folks. It's really a cheap operation here. Here, I'll just move this wall so you can start back a little further.
All right, thank you.
All right. And he's going to roll all the way out. Now he's going to get up on his toes. There he is. And look at that. He's really got to stabilize us now. There can be 4 push-ups here. 2, 3, and his body's fighting it. And just step off the front. There you go. Beautiful. Excellent. Great job.
Thank you.
So that is advanced. And you can imagine if we took 1 leg off and he's only on 1 foot. Ha! That's in the red routine, folks. So get really strong at this first. And then we're going to really be doing some circus acts later that take an incredible amount of strength to do that as we get stronger and stronger. Russian twists. All right, what are those things? We're going to roll out to our bench again. Remember that way back a couple exercises, folks? We're going to roll out to our bench. And his shoulders and his head is on the ball. His hands are going to be up like a big wind vane, hands together. And then he's going to roll very slowly to the left and right. So he's rolling to his left. And notice the ball is rolling under his shoulder, but it's there. This is going to be scary for you first timers. Look how this hip drops and this hip charges up. Let's go this way again. This hip drops a little bit. Look. That hip kind of drops. This hip charges up. And that's it, folks. Russian twists. And again, we can do 8 of those, whatever, and then you can walk out of it. But your body's going to want to fall off that ball. Make sure that ball rolls under you. And what I like to do, if you have trouble with that, then regress it by doing it on the wall. Okay? So here, if I do it on the wall, watch. See that ball is rolling under me? The ball rolls under my shoulders. And that's the feel you should have. Once you have that feel, then try it on the ground, and good luck. First plank to glute bridge. How do we do that? Well, first, we're going to keep his feet right on top of the ball. I like them right together with the toes pointing straight up. Okay? Nice little teeny narrow base support there. And then he's just going to come on up. He's going to lift his hips off, and that's reverse plank. Just that simple. Notice how his arms are by his side. So come on down, Andres. All right, now put your hands out, maybe at like a 45 or so. So if this was wobbly for you folks, put your hands out, have a bigger base support down there. Go ahead, now try it. So now he's got a bigger base support, he can kind of balance with his hands. And again, we're activating his posterior chain of his body. So one big thing about the stability ball, we activate the anterior and posterior big kinetic chains of our body. And we can have him hold it there, okay? Now, so let's have, we just want to screw with him a little bit because he's kind of an athlete. So now what I want him to do, hands by the side was harder, right? That was harder. What's even harder? Have his hands come up, and now he's only on that middle little teeny part of his shoulder blades, between his shoulder blades. So and his shoulders are up, so we've really reduced his base of support. And this is the first time he's done this, so, we can see that. And you can see how the body wobbles. You put your hands back down. So I just want to point out that as we reduce the base support, how much more wobbly we get and the more greater activation we will achieve. So, but we're going to do it with the hands by the side like this. That's your goal. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have him come up, reverse plank. I'm going to have him draw his heels in towards his buttocks. It feels like he's standing on the ball. Then I want him to drive his hips up towards the ceiling, and then I have him let everything roll out, stay in that reverse plank, and then come down and relax. That puts a lot of load on the hamstrings. It's a good way to get your hamstrings really strong and that buttocks, gluteus, hamstring kind of cross bridge we have back here at that fold, and that gives us a lot of nice power and activates our posterior chain, kinetic chain. So let's do that again. So what do? We come up into our plank. Step 1. Step 2, roll the heels in. Feel like you're standing on the ball. No, don't drive the hips up yet. The hips are still down. Now drive the hips up. Now we're going to come all the way out and release. Okay, we'll do one more for demonstration. We're going to come on up. We draw the heels in. He feels like he's standing on the ball. Then we drive these hips up towards the ceiling. See that, folks? That's what we want. And then we allow the legs to come out. And then release. Trust me, 4 or 8 of those will be plenty. You can pop and ping a hamstring pretty easily. Don't do that. Just get strong in that reverse plank first, and then just try drawing the heels in. And then as that strength builds up, go to the full expression of this exercise. High latitude touches. So if this were a globe, this ball is really nice because we have these nice little horizontal rings on it. This would be the equator, southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, and this is like Portland, whether Maine or Oregon, I don't care what coast you're from, maybe you're from England, I don't know. But anyway, high on the globe, okay? So pick whatever city you like, okay? So we're going to have Anders lay on his back, and we're going to have him hold it, just like a globe, between his feet, straight overhead, or straight up. Yep, there we have it. So, what have we done? We've activated his lower abdominals and his adductors, and now he's just going to alternate trying to touch as high as he can, and since we're on the West Coast here, he's going to try to touch Portland, Oregon, and he's going to try to lift as high as he can. So, what are we doing? That lower back is kind of, into the ground there, and we're activating the abs, the obliques, the adductors, the lower abdominal, where they tie into the inguinal, and I call these high latitude touches. And again, do 8, do 16, do whatever you want. But they should fatigue out the stomach pretty quickly now, especially from all the other stuff that we've already done. That looks good. Jets and Supermans. Okay, so the idea here is we want to activate all this posterior chain here and get these upper shoulders. So his arms are going to be like at a jet airplane wing, right? So these are the jets, we'll do those first. And then what I'd like him to do is kind of roll his body over, and his chin can actually touch the ball. So just kind of collapse over and just relax, okay? Now, what I want him to do is I want him to roll his thumbs outboard. I'm an old marine engineer on it from a ship, so we're going to roll our propellers outboard so the thumbs are now pointing towards the ceiling, and we're activating here, if you can see it, right there between the shoulder blades, and then we're just going to roll out of that. His thumbs roll inboard now, inboard. Now they're going to roll outboard, and he's going to, all this is contracting. So we're going to hold up there just for a little bit. So there we go, right there. This is contracting his lower back. Right there is contracting. He's trying to keep that straight, his spine straight, and he's going to collapse over. And one more time. Thumbs roll out, and we're really just squeezing those shoulder blades together, and then we just kind of roll forward, folks. There. And that can get your upper back straighter and flatter. Even though mine is very kyphotic, mine will never get flat, but who cares? So now we're going to do Superman's. So now we're just going to change the load on the shoulders, and we're going to have his hands come out at a 45-degree angle, and his thumbs are going to be up. That's called scaption, scapular elevation. And so we're just going to have him come and contract through the lower back and try to lift his torso off. And there. So that we have a little bit of hyper extension going on through the lower back. We can get these erector spinae tying into that good sacral plate back down there. And those are Supermans. We're flying like Superman. And that's it, folks. Jets and Supermans. And that concludes the stability ball workout in the blue section. And I thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.